What's going on, my but it's Manager Man here, back with another episode of my thoughts. Well, since I started, I started thinking about, subjects I can, or topics I can use for this, these type of videos and that. And I already did them on, Quake Champions and Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. And those are just games coming out. And if you guys haven't seen my latest, update video, I decided, expand it, wholly in that. But when I actually started thinking of I couldn't think of any subject that I could do something controversial. I could do about the shootings of Columbine and that. My thoughts on Columbine. That's gonna be quite controversial, right? But probably not Columbine, but maybe something like a similar subject in that. So I started thinking about it until the first topic I'm gonna talk about is actually my thoughts on emulation and emulators. Emulators is sort of if you don't own the consoles in that actually. If you guys don't know what emulators you can just emulate any software in there. The main part about emulators is emulate a system on it to a really old system, like a computer in that, onto a newer computer in that, and experience what it was like back then. And that emulation is not much of a mainstream thing. Yeah, it's sort of like porn, kind of well, no, it's much. I don't know if the fix of porn, it's compared porn to emulators. Well, emulation, I don't know in that. So anyway, emulators is sort of a thing taking on software from old hardware and it's emulate it on new some system in that. You could put it on a newer one used for a separate system in that. And there's actually other emulators like that. You can do it for old Windows. Virtual PC is one that I usually use most of the time for old I use for emulate older programs. And also most programs you can actually also emulate in that, but mostly the emulators are only good for one thing, and those are retro games. I'm sure you could probably you can probably just go online down and just go play it through a browser in that, but it's much easier to if you want to play it offline in that, you can usually download an emulator in that. But still, emulation to me is sort of a double-edged sword, I believe. I'm just taking the microphone still on. So usually, people would the only thing that's quite controversial is about emulators is that sometimes emulators are sort of piracy in that, and it's only for if you remember, I think it was before emulators did exist back then, but I think then it became mainstream, no one knew about it until I think they started selling it. I think it's called Blam, and that was the one that actually got emulators into the mainstream now, or not mainstream enough, but it actually got emulators well known in that. Back then emulators were actually more they were more of an underground type of thing. Emulators did exist, but the early ones are actually we're not actually that good actually. So if you remember if emulation is sort of if you downloaded an emulator, any gaming emulator, if you download a Nintendo one, that I got a few actually. I got from NES to Nintendo 64. So I got those type of emulators in there, and it lets you play from other countries in it. Also the emulation actually does other things that other emulators and normal console won't do in that. Emulators can actually you can have it in widescreen, actually stretch it out in there. It plays pretty good. You can use I'm not used to having the keyboard controls in there. I'm more of a person of I always that's why I brought myself oh, I don't know if I have it with me, but I actually have I have a gaming controller that I actually use plug into the computer, play it like that, an actual controller, and it looks pretty good in that. You can also download other play other games from different regions in there that are not really they weren't released in your country in there. In some emulators they let you change settings in it. That's what I use sometimes for my emulators. I always click on it, I always change it to a certain one. I always put it to Oceania or Europe because I'm probably from that region, because do you guys live in America and you guys know it's a Sega Genesis, but in other countries especially countries Japan, the UK and New Zealand has it as the Mega Drive. I don't know why I changed it in that, but also change it. And also the other things, they actually have HD textures in it for most old games in there. Also I remember some Super Mario Brothers actually let you Super Mario's 64. I let you have some texture packs to change it. I had one that you change everything to SpongeBob looking graphics in that, and they can also do that. And that's the good thing about emulators, and I can play these old games in that but not own systems. That's what I don't like about because I'm more of a person, I do collecting stuff in that, but if you try like collecting like old console in New Zealand, say like example, if I want like a Nintendo console, I have to like get it delivered from overseas and that, because NESs and especially like NESs and Super Nintendos are actually quite rare, or if they are like sold on like some like site like let me just say like Trade Me and that, I actually like it might be quite costly. And also games, I don't think Nintendo was actually even popular in America, New Zealand. Well, unless you count the later consoles, I believe. I think it was from Nintendo 64 and up when they came officially available in New Zealand next. I remember like seeing like Metro Salvation Army, and I just like, saw like a pile of GameCube consoles in there, but just like the normal consoles, and also like and mostly some of them were like quite broken in that, so I just like left it there and that. So I think Nintendo is quite common in New Zealand, but back then if you went for like retro consoles in there, it's much rarer than favorite like Americans in that. So about my like thoughts about emulation. Emulation to me, I'm actually on the fence of emulation in there. Like I do like use emulators sometimes, but the whole thing about like emulation is piracy in there. That just I'm not sure, because I never actually, yes, I am guilty of like downloading pirated things in there, but that was the old me. I still try to like find it if it's abandonware, or if maybe the software like is available, like if the company like lets you like download it for free because there are enough copies, or if they don't have the right, they still have the rights in that, but they don't know how to, if they can't have like person like you can sell in that, then you can actually like, then I will download it in that. But emulators are not like abandonware, because abandonware normally happens for like software for like computers in that. So it's like PC like PC games in there, like from like the DOS or the Windows, the early Windows era, are also abandonware because they're probably because probably the copyrights probably expired, or the company went bankrupt back in the day, so it's all abandonware. That's what I normally use. But consoles of like actual console games in that, it's more of a rarity actually if a company does go bankrupt and that. Like recently, THQ went bankrupt like a couple of years ago in there, and most of their games were actually like licensed in that, so you can't like pirate like most of the games in there. Like I always like, sometimes I actually like buy like every time I like download emulators in that, I always like buy like I always like not buy, I was like download like emulators actually like that need you to have the original disc in it. Like I actually on my computer I actually have like a PS2 emulator that actually has like that only allows like the original disc in it. That's what I use most of my times, but the PC emulator is kind of shit on my computer and that, because there's not much of a powerful PC. There's also like glitches in there, but there's always like patches online in there. But if you have the original console, I don't know what the point is about emulating in it, except for if you want to like record footage like I'm gonna do soon. I did read a script, by the way. If you wanna know, you're watching this, I can't pronounce your name properly, but if you are watching this, I have read the script. I'm practicing right now, so go to his channel down below. I'll give a link to his channel, and he will be actually doing like a collab with me, and that's what I do for So about the emulator thing, about like recording like so if you want to like record like some footage from like a game, you can actually like buy like game captures in there. But mostly emulation is good for like emulating old games, because like I think very old games are actually like really, I really like don't like emulate that. They actually don't like the capture of it. It's kind of like shit in that. So emulation is pretty good for that, for like if you want like an HD like experience of old consoles, and you just grab like an emulator and record with Bandicam, and it just looks better instead of like, it's kind of like a SourcePort actually, but SourcePort's like illegally like that, because it's software which does license now, sort of like I don't know what type of license it is, but it lets you like allow like SourcePorts in there to like allow that. So that's my thoughts on emulation. Emulation to me, I've like played on emulators all the time. If I want to play a game in there without like downloading ROMs, I was like play it online in there. But sometimes playing online, like the one I play most of the time is Vista, and that's more like a retro gaming site. I haven't been here in a while because I just got an emulator, so you can like download like games in there, like emulate it in that. So that's my thoughts on emulators. So comment down below if you guys don't know, if you guys like sure about emulators, or if you guys like trust emulators, or even if you guys like try like just like download emulators all the time and not like buy the original console, then that's my thing. So anyway, I'm just your A's in here. Please subscribe, like, comment, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, add me on Steam, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ta-ta.